Hey everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Jamie Stein and I am an intuitive, an empath, and a certified core energetics practitioner. And I help people open up to the full force of their powerful creativity, creative energy, and all around creative flow. I wanted to make a quick video today about decision making. A lot of people who've been coming to me for individual intuitive readings lately are people who are in the throes of some kind of a decision. So, maybe it's about whether or not they want to stay in their current city or whether they want to move, whether or not they want to try to stay in their current job or apply for a new job, whether or not their current relationship is working for them. There's some choice to be made and they're feeling some amount of stress about it, and they're coming to me in some ways to get clear on what's the right choice to make. What I notice about people who are in the throes of what feels like a high stakes decision is that it tends to put them into their heads, and they start to sort of spin around in circles mentally, and they start trying to think their way through the situation. And as they're trying to think their way through the situation, there's basically two alternatives. One is the right answer and one is the wrong answer. If they make the right choice, obviously they're going to have everything that they want in life. They're going to be rewarded for making the right choice and everything's going to be great. And of course, if they make the wrong choice, then everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. They're not going to achieve their life's desires, and they basically are going to end up feeling like an asshole because they made the wrong decision. Now, hopefully, even when I just sort of frame the decision in terms of what's right or wrong, or what's going to set me up success, or what's going to set me up for failure, you can already feel how disempowering this is and how it's not really rooted in any kind of real truth. It sort of sets you up to feel like a victim of circumstance, where there's door number one, door number two, and it's luck of the draw. And it's no wonder why this would create such a sense of stress and unease in someone if they feel like everything hangs on this sort of unknowable ability to sort of predict the future and make what's the right or wrong decision. So I want to talk a little bit about reframing decision making and how to navigate the process in a way that's much more empowered and is going to lead to a much more sane and self-affirming process. So I think the first and foremost thing that I really like to impart to anyone who's in the midst of making a decision is that there is no rush. There is no reason why you need to make this decision before your body knows what decision it wants to make. And I'm being really intentional with my language here. Notice that I said your body knows. The fact of the matter is, if you're spinning out in your head about what's the right choice and what's the wrong choice, let me grant you the relief of basically saying this decision should not come from your head. This is not going to be an intellectual decision. The mind can't ultimately know what's in your gut. That has to come from your gut. So basically what you want to do is give yourself the space and the time to get clear on your own answer. And what I mean by your own answer is what you actually want to do. When you're coming from the place of clarity that says, you know what, I've given myself the time and space that I need, and I can tell this is the decision that my gut wants to make, you're so much less attached to the results because you understand that you're just in one step or stop in the greater process of your life. And this decision that you make, that you have this gut feeling to make, is going to take you somewhere. Regardless of how it pans out externally, it is going to take you somewhere. And because you know it's the decision that you want to make, you're so much more comfortable being in the unknown because you're now in the driver's seat. It's not about the decision you should make that comes from your head. It's the decision that you want to make that comes from your gut. So once it's framed that way, it removes a lot of the pressure. And I really advocate giving yourself as much time and space as you really need to get clear in your body, in your gut, for yourself. So now that you've created some energetic space, what does that mean for you? How do you undertake a sane process that gets you in connection with your body and your gut? What I always like to tell people is basically there's so much power in just showing up to the next indicated action. I find what happens a lot of times with people who are making a decision is that they conflate or confuse taking the next step with inevitable like roller coaster ride that can't be stopped into making the decision. So if you're someone who's thinking about looking for a new job, for example, and you see a job opportunity come up, rather than just thinking about it along the lines of, okay, hey, there's a job opportunity here that's lighting me up. I'm curious about it. I want to know more. And just taking the next indicated action of applying for the job, people instead start going 5 steps ahead of the game into, oh my God, if I apply for the job, then I'm going to be offered the job. If I'm offered the job, I'm going to have to take the job. And then if I take the job, I'm moving to New York City. If I move to New York City, I might be making the wrong choice. And it's just this sort of avalanche of going way too far ahead into the future. Instead, just scale it back. And what you want to do is, instead of thinking about where is this going to take me, what's the inevitable decision I should make with my mind, instead regard each next indicated action as an opportunity to simply get into relationship with the process. So when you're putting in the application for this possibly exciting job prospect, it's not about making the right or wrong decision or what's going to happen in 2 months. All it's about is, I'm applying to this job because it lights me up inside right now and I'm curious. And I want to see what happens when I put in my application. I want to see if I get a call back. I want to see how it feels. I want to get on the phone with the HR person. Again, I want to see how that feels. I want to have the conversation with them. I want to hang up the phone. I want to go back to my current job. I just want to hold all of this as information for me to get clear on where my body and where my gut is at with this. The third thing that I would say, and I see this so much, a third crucial element of the process of sane decision making is be rigorously honest with yourself and with others about what it is that you want and need moving forward. So what do I mean by this? I notice that what a lot of people do when they're in the throes of decision making is they don't quite know what they want, but they know that maybe they want this, maybe they want that. And so in the case of the job opportunity, they might withhold from the interviewer or the HR person what their needs really are around work. They might withhold the amount of money they really need to make, or the fact that, they have other work obligations that might not make them a good fit for this job. And they're doing that because they want to cover all their bases. They want to make sure they have the option to take this job should it become available, but they also want the option of being able to stay with their current situation. This leads to all sorts of bad stuff. The fact of the matter is, you want to be rigorously honest with yourself and with others, because that's going to be part of what informs you about the quote-unquote right decision to make. If you're honest with people and say, look, this is where I'm at, this is what I need, this is what my decision-making process is going to entail, the person on the other end of the line might say, you know what, we can't accommodate that. In which case, great, you now have information that job wasn't for you. Conversely, they might hear what you're saying and say, you know what, we're totally open to this, we understand, let's go with the flow with one another. And then that becomes information for you about, okay, maybe this is really something that is going to be a match for me after all. I think this is especially true in relationships. A lot of people in difficult relationships tend to withhold what's really going on with them from their partner or significant other because they're so scared that if they're honest, it's ultimately going to end up in the loss of the relationship. And they're not sure whether or not they want to sacrifice the relationship yet. And so to me, this is just the same thing. Look, if your truth really brings about the end of the relationship, that's information for you. This is not the relationship you should have been in the first place, and that should sort of help you make a sound and reasonable decision. I think what's great about these 3 steps of giving yourself the time and space to really get to know your decision, just showing up to each next indicated action without fast forwarding 5 steps down the line and just taking it in as information and being rigorously honest with yourself and with others about what you really need, is that it really does sort of create and facilitate a process where your body can get into alignment with reality and what's really going on. And what does tend to happen is there's sort of an organic process where you're just open and you're receptive, and you start to also get information from the world. You let the circumstances of life and the things coming to you and the events that occur be part of the fodder for getting clear on your decision. And I've seen it time and time again, when people give themselves this space, the right decision ultimately reveals itself. One thing I will say is that there are times where you don't have all the luxury of time available to you, and sometimes you do have to make a decision within a certain time frame. That's totally cool. That's just another piece of information from the universe. So you just work with that. The same standards still apply of, okay, so there's an imposed time limit on this decision. So having said that, what's the next indicated action? What do I need to do or to know in order to get into relationship with this decision? What's the next call I can make, the next question I can ask? What do I need here in order to be able to make my decision? And you can still operate with these same principles even under a more limited time constraint. And I would say that if you don't have your clear answer by the time the deadline comes, even that's information for you that maybe this isn't the right decision to make for right now. And you can get whatever learning you got from it and apply it to the next opportunity. And I think that's the last comment I'd really make about this, is that, making a decision in many ways, it is just a metaphor for the larger journey of life. As we all know, as we all hear, ultimately it's not about the destination, it is about the journey getting there. So a decision-making process, if you take away that pressure of what choice you're gonna make, and instead you allow yourself to get into relationship with what your body actually wants, it's an opportunity for you to learn about yourself. It's an opportunity to learn about what you need. It's an opportunity to learn about what you want. It's an opportunity to learn about what life is bringing to you. There's so much room for revelation and for growth just in the act of getting into relationship with decision making. So hopefully this helped you. If you're someone who is in the throes of a decision, who might be facing a decision soon, I hope that this gave you some relief. Please feel free to go to my website, hollywoodreadings.com, and sign up. Send me an email if you'd like to get on my mailing list. I send out videos like these. Ask me any question that you want, and I wish you the best of luck in navigating the creative journey of your life. See you guys.